The Chicago Bears did not stumble into this. They tore through 15 years of doubt and changed the direction of the entire franchise in one season. Ben Johnson took a team that had won only 5 games and turned it into an NFC North champion with 11 regular season wins. The offense scored at a level Chicago fans had almost forgotten was possible. The rushing attack punished teams, the ball stayed out of danger, and when games reached the final minutes, the Bears stopped looking nervous. They started looking dangerous. This was not one lucky run. It felt like the start of something much bigger. At the center of it stood Caleb Williams, the quarterback who broke the Bears' single-season passing record and kept pulling his team back from games that looked finished. Behind him, Dennis Allen built a defense that attacked every loose throw and every careless handoff, finishing with 33 takeaways and 23 interceptions. Chicago could beat teams with long drives, sudden strikes, late comebacks, or one defensive play that flipped everything. But here is what made the offseason so hard to understand. Ryan Poles looked at a team that had just broken through, then traded DJ Moore, one of the most trusted receivers on the roster, to the Buffalo Bills. That move was not panic. It was a message. Chicago believed its young weapons were ready sooner than anyone expected, and the front office was willing to risk a proven star to prove it. At the same time, several of the defenders who created those huge turnovers left the building, forcing the Bears to rebuild the heart of their defense. Then there was the wound nobody had forgotten: the overtime playoff loss to Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, and the Los Angeles Rams. Chicago had reached the door, but it could not force it open. To understand why the Bears believe this season will end differently, you have to start with the quarterback who went from fighting to survive to becoming the calmest player on the field. The first 2 weeks gave Chicago reason to worry. Caleb Williams opened the season against Minnesota and Detroit, with pressure closing around him and questions growing after stalled drives. He had admitted that his first year felt like drowning, and early in year 2, the game seemed too fast. Then Dallas arrived. Williams threw with better timing, trusted the plan, and looked free. It was not the finished version, but it was the first sign that fear was leaving. By November, the change was impossible to miss. Against Cincinnati, Williams attacked every part of the field and kept the offense moving. The late moments became his space. He stopped rushing his feet. He stopped forcing every answer. He waited, escaped, and struck. Williams finished with 3,942 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. In the playoff win over Green Bay, he added 361 passing yards, the highest postseason total by a Bears quarterback. The exciting part is also the warning. Williams completed 58.1% of his passes, which means simple throws still escaped him. Chicago knows the huge plays are real. The calm under pressure is real. What must change now is everything between those moments. Ben Johnson does not need his quarterback to become less bold. He needs him to make the easy answer automatic. That next step begins with the people protecting him, because Chicago quietly built one of football's strongest foundations for the next challenge. Chicago's biggest improvement did not begin with a highlight. It began 5 feet in front of Caleb Williams, where the pocket finally stopped collapsing on key snaps. Joe Thuney brought control to the left side, Jonah Jackson added power inside, and Darnell Wright became an answer at right tackle. The Bears allowed only 24 sacks during the regular season. That protection gave the offense time to breathe, but it also changed how defenses had to line up before the ball moved. The running game carried the same pressure. DeAndre Swift gave Chicago 1,087 rushing yards, while Kyle Monangai added 783, with a patient style that kept drives alive. One back could stretch the field, the other could finish through contact. Together, they stopped opponents from sitting back and waiting for Williams to throw. The Bears could win a series without asking their quarterback for miracles, and that balance made every fake, screen, and deep shot feel more dangerous. Now the line faces a test. Garrett Bradbury steps in at center after Drew Dalman retired, while Braxton Jones, Kieran Amagaji, Theo Benedette, and Jedrick Wills fight for the left tackle job. Ozzie Trapilo is expected to miss most of the season with a knee injury. That spot matters, but the core is strong enough to protect the plan. Chicago's offense has a base it can trust. The defense, however, built its success on something far less stable, and that is where the danger begins. Chicago's defense lived on sudden moments. A normal drive could feel safe for the opponent, then one late throw changed everything. Kevin Byard III read quarterbacks early. Nahshon Wright turned a quiet opportunity into a Pro Bowl season. Tremaine Edmonds covered ground from the middle, while TJ Edwards and DeMarco Jackson attacked underneath routes. The Bears forced 33 takeaways, made 23 interceptions, and finished with a plus 22 turnover margin. No defense created more instant damage. That style gave Chicago an edge few teams could match, but it also covered a problem. The Bears finished 29th in total yards allowed. Opponents often moved the ball and forced another snap. When the takeaway came, the weakness disappeared. When it did not, the field felt much longer. Chicago went 9-0 when it produced at least 2 takeaways, but only 3-7 when it forced 1 or none, including the playoffs. The gap between those records tells the story. This was not a bad defense. It was a dangerous defense that still needed another way to win. Turnovers can decide a Sunday, but they cannot be ordered on demand. Dennis Allen needed stronger pressure, cleaner tackling, and fewer long drives. Then the offseason made that challenge harder. The players behind most of those interceptions left, and Chicago could not simply copy the same formula. The next major move had to protect the defense from regression, which meant rebuilding its center without losing its aggressive team identity. Chicago did not try to replace every departure with the same player. Kevin Byard III moved to New England, Nahshon Wright joined the Jets, and Tremaine Edmonds landed with the Giants. That removed experience, but it also forced Ryan Poles to change the shape of the unit. He added Kobe Bryant for range and calm at safety, then used a first-round pick on rookie Dylan Thieneman, a fast defender built to cover space and grow into a larger future role. The front seven received help. Devin Bush brings speed at linebacker, while DeMarco Jackson returns after proving he could handle more responsibility. Up front, Montez Sweat remains the main threat after recording 10 sacks. But the plan cannot stop there. Austin Booker showed promise. Gervon Dexter Sr. pushes inside, and Grady Jarrett gives the group a veteran voice. Dayo Odeyingbo is working back from his Achilles injury, and his return could change how often Chicago wins without sending extra rushers. That is the goal of this rebuild. The Bears do not need another copy of last season's defense. They need a group that can survive without friendly bounces. Better pressure can shorten coverage. Better tackling can end drives early. Dennis Allen still wants aggression, but now he needs control beside it. The new pieces have not proved anything together yet, which keeps the risk alive. And the timing could not be harder, because every team in the NFC North spent the offseason preparing a direct answer to Chicago's rise. Winning the NFC North did not give Chicago control of the neighborhood. It gave every rival months to study the weakness behind the celebration. Detroit still has Jared Goff under center, with Dan Campbell leading a roster that knows how to answer hard seasons. Green Bay still has Jordan Love, and Minnesota still has J.J. McCarthy. None of these teams disappeared. They simply watched Chicago take the crown and started planning how to take it back. The standings showed how little space existed. Chicago finished with 11 wins. Green Bay finished with 9 wins and 1 tie, while Detroit and Minnesota each finished with 9 wins. The Bears beat Green Bay twice, first in overtime, then again in the wild-card round at Soldier Field. But the Packers had won the first meeting. Minnesota took the opener. Detroit closed the season by beating Chicago. The division champion finished only 2 wins and 4 losses inside the North, a warning beneath the trophy. That record changes the meaning of this season. Chicago cannot depend on surprise anymore. Every protection call and late-game habit is now on film. Ben Johnson knows Detroit's personnel. Detroit also knows his mind. Jordan Love has shown he can hurt this secondary, and J.J. McCarthy has felt what winning at Soldier Field requires. The Bears earned respect, but respect makes the next fight harder in January. To stay on top, Chicago needed one move that could create another advantage. That move was the trade nobody expected. The DJ Moore trade was never simple. Chicago did not move a fading player. Moore produced 682 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, then caught the winning score in both victories over Green Bay. He had trust, toughness, and a connection with Caleb Williams. The Bears sent him and a 5th-round pick to Buffalo for the selection that became number 57. That was not a small adjustment. It was a bet on timing. The reason sits inside the younger group. Colston Loveland led Chicago with 713 receiving yards as a rookie. Rome Odunze produced 661 yards despite missing 5 games. Luther Burden III finished with 652 yards and became more dangerous as his role grew. Ben Johnson has praised Burden, and the offense now has room to test that belief. Veteran Khalif Raymond adds speed and experience, while rookie Xavion Thomas brings a fast option and value in the return game. This decision will not be judged by the draft pick alone. It will be judged when Chicago needs one catch with the game tightening. If Odunze handles the top role, Loveland keeps bending coverages, and Burden becomes the 1,000-yard threat expected, Ryan Poles will look fearless. If the young targets stall, missed chances will bring Moore's name back into the conversation. There is no middle ground. The bet is live, and its biggest test leads straight back to the opponent that ended Chicago's last playoff run. The season ended with Chicago within reach. Against Los Angeles, Caleb Williams kept the Bears alive with a 4th-down touchdown pass to Cole Kmet, forcing overtime when the night looked finished. Soldier Field exploded, but the Rams stayed calm. Cameron Curl intercepted Williams on Chicago's drive, and Matthew Stafford moved Los Angeles into range for the winning kick. The Rams escaped 20-17. The comeback was real, yet so were the 3 interceptions and the chances Chicago left behind. That loss sets the standard. The Bears do not need proof that they can create magic. They need proof they can control games earlier. Williams must raise his accuracy while protecting the football. Luther Burden III and Rome Odunze must carry responsibility without DJ Moore. Colston Loveland must turn his first season into something defenses cannot solve. On the other side, Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, and the rebuilt secondary must win drives without waiting for a takeaway. Here is the prediction. Chicago reaches 10 wins and stays in the NFC North race. Burden pushes toward 1,000 receiving yards, and Williams enters the top 10 MVP discussion if the throws become steady. None of that is guaranteed. That is why this season matters. Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson have placed their trust in growth, youth, and a plan that moved faster than expected. Was trading more brilliant timing, or one risk too many? Drop your verdict below, because Chicago knew what it was doing. Now it must prove it.